Alright, so this is how we do our paper here about function tables. So these are our function tables, and these are just tables that we're going to use that are going to help us find the domain, which is going to be our x values, which I'm highlighting in pink, and then our ranges, which are going to highlight in y. Okay? Now, a couple things I want to talk to you real quick about these things. You've noticed on our equation up here where it says f of x equals x plus 8. Okay, so you're thinking, well, where is the y at? Well, the y is there. It has just been moved, and we have now called the y f of x. So this f of x is also called y. Okay, so this means the same thing. It's just f of x is what is called function notation. So f of x means the same thing as y in this case. And then obviously the x is right here as well. Okay? So basically what's happening here is we are trying to figure out what y would be if x was -1. What y would be if x was 2. What y will be, or what will our range be if we have 6 as an x value? What would it be if it was -9? What would it be if it was -8? So all we're going to do is we're going to plug these in and solve for those problems. Okay? So you can need to probably do this work on a separate sheet of paper, just like I am going to do here with you. So what you will need to do is take out your separate sheet of paper, and we're going to write these down. So I'll do one here with you, and hopefully they'll be enough for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to write down our function, f of x equals x plus 8. I'm going to highlight them again so you can see them. So there's the pink, my domain, there's my range, which f of x equals y. I'm now going to use my first number, which is -1. Okay? Since it's in the pink row, it now goes in where x is at. So I'm going to put it in here, -1 plus 8. So then you can use my calculator, -1 plus 8. Well, that's going to tell me I'm going to get 7. So f of x is equal to 7. So I put this right there. And that right there could be my ordered pair, -1, 7. So you can show your ordered pairs there as well. So let's try another one. Let's try what happens when I put a 2 in. How will it change my result? So if I put a 2 in here, my domain is now going to become a 2. What will it be when I get my range? Well, if I put a 2 in where my x is, so I put a 2 in where the x is, now it becomes 2 plus 8, and 2 plus 8 gives me 10. So when I have a positive 2, I should get out a 10. So 2, 10 is my ordered pair. Okay? We do the same thing again with the 6. Say now, well, I want to see what would it be if I have an input of 6 or a domain of 6. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put the 6 in where my x is. So 6 comes in, so it's going to be 6 plus 8. So 6 plus 8 gives me 14. So when I have an input of 6, I have an output of 14. I have 6 comma 14. Okay. My next point here that I can have is if I put in, what happens if I put in a -9? Put in a -9. I do this on my paper. I'm going to get a -9 plus 8. -9 plus 8 gives me a -1. So these are all my outputs here. These are all my outputs. These are all my f of x's, which are called my y's or my ranges in the yellow. And then again, these are my domains in the pink. Okay, my last one I need to figure out on my table here is -8. So that's going to be put the -8 in for the x. So wherever I have an x, I'm going to put a -8. So it's -8 plus 8. So when I have a -8, I put into this equation. I get -8 plus 8 gives me 0. So I know my output or my domain is 0. So there are my two other points there. Okay. So now I can see that this is a function. My domain is 1 to 1 with my range. I know that I can even plot these points and see the graph to see what it looks like. And it should look like a straight line for me because they have a constant change as they go on. These things are actually changing by something as they move on constantly. It's the same change throughout. It could be 1, it could be 2, it could be a half, but they're constantly changing throughout. Okay? Let's look at one other one here. Let's look at this one right here. Let's look at number 5. So if I do number 5, I'm going to do the same thing here. But this time I've got it a little bit different. I got my f of x here, which is my y, or my range. It represents my range. It's function notation. It's saying I want to know what this function is going to be if I'm given this domain. So it's in this case, it could be if I have -2, and then I want to see what it is when it's -7. Like there's my first one. I want to know what would it do when it pops it out. So what I can do is put it on my paper. F of x, which is my y again, equals -2 times x. And I want to know what happens when f of x, or where the x is -7. So I'm going to put the -7 in where the x is at. So that becomes -2 times -7. And that's going to give me 14. So that's my ordered pair. -7, 14. I want to try all the rest of these, which are my domains. I can see, we'll do these real quick. So it's be -2, put a 0 in for x because it's in the x column of my domain. So I put it in, -2 times 0 is 0. So my range now is 0. And look, I go to the point 0, 0. Put in for the 8, so it's -2 times 8, which gives me -16. There's my ordered pair for my function. Put in, so I want to know what it is when it's -5. So I'm going to put -2 times -5. It's going to give me -2 times a -5 is a +10. So my ordered pair there is -5, 10. And then I'm going to put in a 4. So if I put in the input of 4, I have -2 times 4. -2 times 4 is -8. And there's my ordered pair. So this is a links, and I can, now in my ordered pairs, I now have my domains, I now have my ranges. My ranges are in yellow that I just found right there. And I can see that this is a function. The domains and the ranges are 1 to 1. These don't repeat anywhere. This will provide me a straight graph, a line graph, and this does have a pattern that it is increasing. Okay, it's increasing by the same amount as it goes on. So as I'm increasing, or as I'm changing my x values, my y values are going to be changing too by the same amount. So this is just called a function table. So just to kind of recap, you are given a function up on top. Remember that the f of x, that I'm highlighting the yellow, is called your range, or your y. It's also called your y. What you do is you will be given on the table your domains. You put your domains in wherever you have an x. Such in this case, my x was right here, and I was given a -7. I put that in. I do my math, a 0, an 8. I do that and I do my math, and I'm going to end up with my ranges here. That's what f of x equals when I have that particular domain. And then what I do is I record them in my table. I can also show them as ordered pairs, and then later on we'll look in graphing them and seeing what they look like and what exactly does all this mean. We'll see what that looks like. Right now we want to go through just being able to fill in our ordered pairs, fill in our table with this process. So you have 2 problems there that are done. You have the rest of these to do that you can fill in and work out. Mr. O has the answer sheet up here in the top that you can use to come check and work on them. When you get done with this one, then we'll check them together and make sure that we have all the understanding. Okay? All right, thanks.